What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Dylan Optics sunglasses. You know those really cool glasses I'm wearing in every episode of the show? The ones with the matte finish lenses where it looks like they're fogged up, they don't reflect. Those are Dylan Optics, and they are sweet. I've been wearing them for almost 10 years now, and I will never put on another pair of sunglasses. They are ace. The glass is really good. The frames fit well. The plastic ones are really durable. The aviator ones are really fashionable. And if you go to thesmokingtire.com and you click on the Partners tab, there's a Dylan banner right there. If you use that link to go to Dylan Optics and order yourself a pair of sunglasses, I will give you a Smoking Tire t-shirt for your trouble. On the house, all you got to do is use that link instead of going to DylanOptics.com. Just go to thesmokingtire.com, click on the Partners tab and the Dylan banner, and I will give you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt if you buy a pair of these amazing sunglasses. They're not, they're expensive, but they're like Ray-Bans or Oakleys or Maui Jims, and that the glass is really, really good. Whenever people ask me about them, to try them on when they see me at a car show or whatever, they're always amazed with how amazing the glass really is. Dylan Optics is the official eyewear of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Also, we got Beeline Coffee in the house. It is what I drink every morning, afternoon, and, well, not night anymore because I got to go to bed sometime, and the stuff's got a lot of caffeine in it. The roasted tire is my personal blend, although it's not actually a blend. It's a single origin roast. It's medium body, and oh my God, it's so delicious. But Beeline's got other roasts as well, the classic roast, the snapshot espresso. There's a decaf. My friend Cameron Weiss has a roast. So try all the different ones at Beeline Coffee, not just the roasted tire, although that is my personal favorite because it was like bioengineered for me. But use code TST at checkout for your entire Beeline Coffee order, and I will give you 15% off your whole order. Big or small, doesn't matter if you got 1 pound, 10 pounds, or an annual subscription to their coffee program. Code TST will get you 15% off at Beeline Coffee. It is just the most delicious coffee around. A couple other folks have tried to send me their coffees because they know that I'm into it, and I have tasted all of the coffees that people gave me. John Klein sent me another car-themed coffee. It was all right, but it frankly was not nearly as good as Beeline. So code TST, 15% off your entire order at Beeline Coffee. Okay, good opportunity for us today to get sort of a household name in the world of automotive media, and not because he's a journalist or reviews cars or anything. Chris Jacobs hosted Overhaulin, one of the biggest car shows on television for like 10 seasons, like a lot of seasons. He's been around for a minute, hanging out with Chip Foose, stealing people's cars, modifying them, giving them back. He's now a commentator with Barrett Jackson, which is on the Motor Trend Network, and he's been on a bunch of different car shows, and we've been around together and crossed paths many times, but I've never been able to schedule him on the show. But he's a good dude, a great guest. I really enjoyed recording this one. Chris Jacobs from Motor Trend Network on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Should we do a show?
Let's do it.
Welcome. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Here it is. I'm full of energy because I've just pounded this fucking coffee. Chris Jacobs is in the house.
I took 6 Adderall, so I'm full of energy
Woo!
too. All right.
You need to get here from Burbank.
Yeah.
6 Adderall.
They wore off at about the 10.
A Provigil and a Fiji water. Fuck. I can't drink Fiji water anymore. Do you ever listen to the Dollop podcast?
No.
Do you know what that podcast is, Chris Jacobs? Or Vinny Russo?
Yeah.
Also in the house? Vinny's now my roommate. When people get divorced, they end up on my couch for like a couple weeks. That's how this is going.
The halfway house.
You put them to work.
I'm a big fan of this podcast called The Dollop. That's an American history podcast, and it's these two comedians, and they talk about things that do not get discussed in school history for the most part. The more fucked up aspects of our country and the workings of it, and etc.
I love it.
And they just did one on the Resnicks. Have you heard of the Resnicks?
No.
The Resnicks own Palm Wonderful. You know, the pomegranate juice?
Oh, okay.
They also own Fiji water.
Okay.
And they own, what's the Blue Diamond? Pistachios?
Oh, the nuts.
The almonds?
Yeah.
This one family and their farms use more water than the entire city of San Francisco.
Wow.
The entire fucking city.
And California's in a drought.
Yeah, this is in Central California.
Yeah.
And it's just craziness.
Where they're like drilling sideways to steal each other's water.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
they're
pretty much
part of that.
That's part of it. They're the people that did that.
Yeah.
And the Fiji water, by the way, they take that from Fiji, and the Fijians don't get much. So anyway,
that sounds like a cool podcast,
It is a good
and I
podcast.
like that kind of stuff. So that sounds like a modern day version of what Oliver Stone did with the history of the United States, where he retells from a lot of stuff we don't know about what happened in the history of the United States.
because it's
Oliver
only told by the
Stone-
winners.
Exactly.
Only the winners tell the stories.
It's fascinating.
It's fucking
fascinating
crazy
stuff. Yeah.
Good to have you in studio, man.
It's good to be here.
And Vinny, first podcast with you, sir, a year?
It's been about a year.
Or so.
Yeah,
Now
at least.
Vinny's now a California resident.
Nice.
We got him out of Florida.
Welcome to tax
Finally, we got him out
Not
of
a tax
Florida.
haven. It's
No.
tax heaven.
Yeah, coming from Florida, it's
Sort of the
it's
opposite.
a
Oh
little
yeah,
rough
where
with
there's
the
no
taxes.
taxes.
There's
Yeah,
no
no,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
tax heaven for the state of California.
But now he's browsing California Craigslist, and it's really become a problem. Last night, Vinny went to look at two cars yesterday. Give us the rundown of the two cars you looked at yesterday.
The 93 Mercedes 300 TE wagon,
Okay.
which was a cool-looking car in theory, but then
It was
when
a
I-
cool-looking car.
Yeah, and then when I get there and there's no battery in it, guy hadn't driven it in 3 months, and I don't know what he expected me to do with it when I got there.
Look at it.
Don't sell a
Smell
car
it.
that can't be started
Yeah,
when the
yeah.
person arrives.
It's a really good tip.
Is that a red flag?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes?
It was, but,
Okay.
Or tell me so I don't
tell
waste my
me.
time.
Right.
Yeah. Or so you bring a battery if
Yeah.
you really give a shit. But
Yeah.
like, fucking hell.
He was mad that I offered him $500 for it.
So $500 for a car you can't even start.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in theory would be good. And
Yeah.
then
The-
that's the good thing about the video, Chris, is we could talk about
That took me
pictures
right back to was it a 93? You said?
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's sophomore year in college, right there.
About
Totally.
that.
I
Yeah.
had, and this is in my high school. All the parents. How old are you, Chris?
I'll be 49 at the end of this month, dude.
Looking good.
I'm coming. I'm
Can we do
careening around the bend towards 50.
Take your hat off. Let's do a hair check.
Unbelievable,
Hair
man.
check. Oh, he's
It's
got the
going-
TV hair. He's
yeah.
good. No, you're good.
You know, it's hanging
going
on
better than us.
slightly.
And
This is
then-
my hair department, by the way.
That's brilliant.
If I'm on a car show, it's a hat. If
Look,
it's
it works
family
for-
show, it's no hat. That's how
works
I
for
keep
Hulk
track
Hogan.
of myself. Yeah, right?
Right? It works for all. A hat. It works.
Let it grow long, brother. Get it long in the back, and then you got a party back there. That's all you need, is what I'm saying. Oh, by the way, speaking of Hulk Hogan, R.I.P. Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh yeah,
Passed away.
yeah.
And Super Dave Osborne.
376-year-olds.
80s. Who was the third one?
The third one was the captain from the Captain and Tennille.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
All 76.
That's right.
It happens in threes.
All 76 years old, too.
Yeah, it's all. It's
Mean
fucked
Gene
up.
fell down.
Super
Dave, whose name is Bob Einstein, he had cancer.
Did you ever meet him?
No, but I used to watch Super Dave Osborne religiously.
I
That show
He's
shaped my
hilarious.
childhood.
He was
Yeah.
hilarious.
his comedians in cars getting coffee was really funny. It was just him begging Jerry for that car. He's like, you said I
Yeah.
could keep the car, Jerry. In the end, Jerry shafts him and he's like, no, you're not keeping the car. In reality, he let him have the car.
He actually did?
He did let him have the car. Yeah.
What,
yeah,
was it a Porsche?
No, it was the NSX that he supposedly got for doing the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
The Leno
Yeah,
Super Bowl
yeah.
commercial. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Bob Einstein got his start writing for the Smothers Brothers. That's how far back he went.
Yeah. I just watched. Oh fuck! Is it Speed Zone or Cannonball Run 2 that has the Smothers Brothers in it?
Cannonball Run
It's
2.
Cannonball
I think
2.
it's Cannonball
right?
Run 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We go to the dullest airport. It's Fresno. No, dullest,
Dullest.
not the dullest airport. Fucking.
Would you like my peanuts?
It's a great bit. What favorite Cannonball Run film, Chris? 1, 2, or Speed Zone?
No, it's got to be one.
The
yeah, it's the
original?
classic. Absolutely.
The original is
Dom
the classic.
DeLuise in that as
Captain-
Captain
is
Fantastic,
it Captain
whatever.
Chaos?
Captain
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 Chaos.
Captain
Chaos.
Chaos, right?
Dun,
Yeah,
dun, dun, dun.
They
Just
get credit
absolutely
for the
freaking
for
class.
the
And then,
window
of course, the
montage.
doctor with the crazy eyes. What was his name, man? I mean, that is
Oh my
all
God.
world.
that
The proctologist.
with
He's always got the cocktail
No, he's
and
like
the
this. Yeah.
finger.
No, he
yeah.
has- he has
what was that
his little
doctor's
finger.
name? Oh my God, the face though.
There he is.
It's like he looks like Neil
eyes.
Young.
He ever had a name?
He looks like Neil Young on heroin.
So flipping great, man. When they get pulled over by the cops and the doctor comes out of the van, you know, the van doors open and there's that face right there.
He's got the needle. He screws it.
So
If you've
good.
never
Squeezing it in his mouth.
That's a great gift right
So
there.
good.
If you've never seen the first Cannonball Run movie, it is a fucking classic.
The outtakes are my favorite part of that movie because there's a part where Dom DeLuise can't stop laughing, and at a certain point, Rich, what's his face? Just
Burt
like,
Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds like gonna hit him in the face, and then he actually does slap him in the face. He's like, it's like the sixth take, and he's like, if you don't get it, and he just starts giggling. He just goes, and just hits him.
I
in the
love
face.
that the picture of Trump's doctor has made it into this array of photos of Cannonball Run
Sure.
Doctor. He really fits right in.
Everything
it almost
is
just blends.
interconnected. Yeah,
Inspired
all roads
by-
lead back to Trump.
But last night we were thinking of like we're trying to come up with T-shirts and stuff. So we're just like watching clips from old movies. That Lambo skipping across the lake in Speed Zone is really that's the highlight. I think they're all fake Lambos in that movie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
looked
well,
through
it's
it,
the
every
two.
one
It's
of
the
them.
two hot women in the first one who
Yeah.
are driving it, and they, every time they get pulled over, they zip down their
Yeah.
tops, and then it's a female cop that pulls them over. So
Right.
their plan is foiled.
And then the second one, there's a color change in the car. They hose it down and it goes from white to red. It's like the color changing paint. And then the third one, they skip it across the water, and then it's, I think, Michael Spinks' car or something,
Yeah.
and they get the doors ripped off it or something. It's bad. So anyway, brother,
What's going
what's shaking, brother? Fucking, you hosted one.
Well, you know,
of
the last time we saw each other was when we were going to do that thing with Tanner. Remember that? We were like
we were
going to do that
auditioning for some show
for, was
that
it?
never happened.
Yeah.
Or did it happen?
Was
That
it
guy
Top Gear?
No, there
was
was
something
that.
like
no, there
that,
was.
though.
I did
Yeah.
see you at the Top Gear audition.
That's
but that
what it
was
was,
years
yeah.
ago. And then after that, there was some kind of build competition show that I was not remotely qualified to host.
Apparently, I wasn't either because I didn't get the job.
That guy Lou got it.
Lou Santiago.
Lou Santiago.
Yeah.
He ended up getting it. I don't remember the name of the show.
Is it
I
the
never-
one that's still on right now?
I don't know.
They
I
got,
hope so. Lou was a
I
sweetheart.
think it's the only one he's really on
Car,
right now.
Car Fix.
Car
I think,
Fix, yeah.
the
Is that
one he's
it?
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
competition.
Had
build
you gotten
show?
that, you would have
No.
been in Tampa.
No, it's not. It's him
not?
and Jared Zimmerman, and they're working on cars.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
working on cars.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
qualified for that either. Every time I pitch a show, they're like, "That's great, but do you have some buddies you guys could like flip cars together with,
Right.
like,
God.
or fix up some stuff?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No," and they're like, "You wouldn't really have to do it. We could just write that." And I
Right.
go, "I have dignity. I'm sorry."
Yeah, you mean you can say no?
Well, fuck it. It seems that you were on the last show where they actually like did something.
It's amazing, man. And, you know, I mean, it boggles my mind that it's been 15 years now since we
Wow.
started that show. Yeah.
Oh my
We
God.
started in October of 2003, so not quite 15 years, but getting there. And still as popular as ever. I mean, they still show it almost
dude.
every day.
Get
And
some royalties on that.
oh man, I wouldn't be here right now. I would have had my own helicopter
Oh,
down
yeah.
here. That's
True.
true. No, cable is one and done, unfortunately.
Womp womp.
But you know what?
How many episodes?
115.
That's a
somewhere in
lot.
there. Yeah,
There's a lot of cars
Yeah.
to build too.
Where are
Yeah.
all the cars now?
they're all over the place. You know,
I
I
bet
just
people
saw the
took
very
better
first
care
one.
of them than the Pimp My Ride cars. Right? You just saw the first one?
I just saw the very first car we built on Overhaulin at the Hot Rod Magazine's 70th
Really?
That's cool.
anniversary party.
How'd it look?
On Pomona? Fantastic. The dude who owns it works for Original Parts Group.
Okay.
So he takes meticulous care of it. He doesn't have to store it in his garage. He can store it at OPG,
Oh, yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got a beautiful paint job. To this day, it's one of my favorite builds that we
Does
did.
the aesthetic hold up?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the way that those cars were painted
Right.
was, I mean, like, it's, super foose, but like, it's been 15 years. Like,
Right.
does the style hold up?
That one in particular does. It's a 1971 Chevelle, and it's kind of like this kind of root beer metallic, and it's got these beautiful rally stripes, and there are ghost flames in the rally stripes.
Oh, that sounds
So it's a
cool.
really cool design.
I bet-
and
I bet
ironically,
Zach can find
that's
a
it
good
right
picture
there.
of
He
it.
just
Is
did.
that it
Yeah.
right there? Oh,
Mhm,
that
that's
looks
it.
good.
That's timeless.
So
I
if you
like
go to
that.
go to that third one over, that shows the stripes really nicely. Yeah, right
Oh, yeah,
there.
that holds up.
So,
Looks good. Totally.
What's interesting about that car and interesting about the show overall is that car does not have Foose wheels on it. It's got Budnick wheels on it because we built the car at Budnick's shop.
Oh, okay.
And so Foose wanted to use his wheels on the car. I think every car
All the
after
ones
that
since have Foose wheels?
have Foose wheels, yeah.
Wow.
How are they doing as a brand? Foos Wheels. They're still killing it.
Killing it, man. I mean, his merch is off the charts. Like at SEMA, he brings a full trailer with him, and it sells out. It's just
like
incredible.
The sweetest person I've ever met in my life. Were you at the Haggerty dinner? Because he's a big Haggerty guy, and I'm a Haggerty guy. And it was like me and McKeel and Chip and a couple other guys, and he was the sweetest man I've ever met in my life.
People ask me what's Chip like in real life. You know, is he as cool as he is on the show? And I say he's even cooler. He's more down to earth. He is so humble for the amount of talent he has. He is willing to give everybody as much time as it takes to, if they're going to wait in line for him, he's going to wait till everyone has gone through the line. He doesn't cut off his signings at 4 p.m. because that's when it ends. He'll go hours afterwards. And I
don't know where he finds the time in the day.
It's incredible. The dude does not sleep. I've seen him stay up. Literally, I've seen him stay up at SEMA for 3 nights.
Well, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Rick James said it best.
I'm just kidding. I bet you if anyone is like I think he's like sober. I don't even think he drinks.
He doesn't. I've maybe had 2 beers with him. I've seen him drunk once at a Christmas party long time ago, and that was a lot of fun. But Chip his drug is work.
Yeah.
His drug is metal.
Building shit.
He loves metal, and he's the only guy that I know that could literally build a car by himself from the ground up. He knows everything about cars.
I just think his drawing is so fucking good. Like I want one of his drawings more than I want even a car from him. Like he could draw it like
and there's his dad. His dad Sam just passed away about 2 weeks ago. So rest in peace, Sam Foose, who's a legend in the automotive industry in his own right.
What did Sam do? I know the name, but what was he?
Well, Sam Foose was his dad and ran his own hot rod shop, as well as many others. He's responsible for designing and building a lot of famous cars in the hot rod industry. Maybe the most famous one is the one that was on an episode of Fast and Loud, that Pantera that Richard bought and then traded back to Foose for a car that Foose had, and then Chip and his dad Sam.
Which Pantera was that? Because I know he bought the Ring Brothers Pantera.
Yeah, he did, but that's the Foose Pantera that he bought.
Oh, what the fuck?
It's a really wild.
Wow, that looks build. like a pre-Vector almost. It's that's like a movie prop. There's a Pantera under there.
Yeah, it's a total custom.
Wow, that's so 70s.
It looks like the Wraith.
It's really cool.
It does look like, kind of looks like the Wraith. It sort of looks like a speedster. Wow,
yeah, it's
really
got
neat.
that. It's got that low resin.
Is that it also?
That's it. That's it. It's got that low resin windshield.
That's a straight up movie prop.
It's badass, right?
That drives.
Yes. In fact, they drove it on the episode. So Foose got it from Rawlings, gave it to his dad. And then they did an episode of Fast and Loud with them driving it around. It was great.
They played Super Bowl 35 on the hood. look how huge that is.
It's huge. It is a big hood.
That makes a 72 Charger look small. That's crazy.
Really of the period.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of like part Camaro and part Knight Rider front end.
Totally Knight Rider.
Yeah.
It looks like a villain car from an 80s movie for sure.
But like a super cool villain, like a Racer X type villain. Yeah,
totally. Wow, how cool is that? Oh, man had skills.
And we were fortunate enough to have Sam on the build team for 4 episodes of Overhaulin, including what most people say is their favorite episode of Overhaulin. That's him right there doing Chip's truck.
Oh, cool.
And he was the build leader on that because obviously Chip wasn't in on it because we had stolen the truck from him. And Chip
How
was
did
just
he not
blown
see
away
that
at the
coming?
End. We did it well. We did it well. We fooled him, man. I mean, we took not only that car, but we took some other stuff from his shop to make it look like these were doing it. He saw the
You didn't play the fucking cop.
I did not. No, I stayed far away from that one.
That's one of those ones where it's like Superman really, you put the glasses on, you're Clark Kent now,
right.
Fuck.
No one recognizes that.
That's one of those, like, you hide right out in the open. Like, I'm sure Chip was like, there's not me. Like, it couldn't happen to me. Like,
that's exactly what he said when we revealed it to him. He goes, "This isn't supposed to happen to me." It was one of the sweetest moments, and he hugged his dad.
Is that what people say is their favorite episode?
Yes.
Is that one?
Yes. I'd say 90% of the people that I asked.
If you didn't get a chance, you should watch that because literally, like, you'll watch it in the end, and I still you'll get goosebumps. You literally will get goosebumps.
I actually have cried at the end of some episodes of Overhaulin. I'm not even gonna lie, I have. People freak the fuck out.
It's an emotional show, man. I mean, that's why this industry is so great because of the emotional attachment that people have to their cars. You know, I mean, they're like art. Even if you don't know anything about cars and you see a cool car, you feel that it's cool because it's aesthetically pleasing.
It has an attitude. It
releases those endorphins in your system.
It's the hardest thing to explain to somebody that's not a car person, so to speak. And like, you know, in all the different manufacturers that I worked for this little one called Spiker, and we used to tell people like it's at this level, it's not transportation, it's an experience.
Yeah.
Like you choose where you go on vacation, you choose the car that you want based on the experience you want to have driving it. And unless you get that, it's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't get it.
Right.
You know, because it's that emotional connection because I want that experience.
Well,
that's why Matt has 4 cars.
That's why all the fucking, you know, band cars, autonomous cars, people, I think a lot of them don't really get, and I understand the idea because you're driving from Burbank here. Like, yeah, if you had a fucking self-driving car, that would make that drive a little better. But like
that'd be a rarity though, because what these autonomous cars are doing is severing the connection between the driver and the car, which is a lot of the experience. I mean,
especially
sure, the commute
if they
sucks,
are shared.
but
if it's not if it's just a pod, then it might as well be a cab.
It might as well be a train or whatever,
or anything.
Right.
It has to be an expression of you. Yeah.
Which it is, and that's why, you know, when I saw on social media and on Instagram that you had gotten a 911, I was like cheering because I've had a 911 since 2005.
What year is yours?
85.
Oh, okay, cool, Carrera.
And I freaking love that car with all my heart. Like, I will never get rid of that car. It's
a
never
good,
let me
car,
down,
isn't it?
It's never let me down. Always starts.
Don't worry, it will.
That's what you were saying. I'm knocking on all sorts of wood right here.
No,
I'm the second owner.
It's a good, honest car.
And I love it. I was driving it yesterday.
You're just how many miles are on it?
It's got 118,000.
Oh, did you do a top end?
No.
Oh, well, you will have to.
Yeah,
soon.
I know.
That's
we
the
were
one
talking
thing.
about that before, because that's the issue that you had with yours, right?
Yeah, mine. I have 3 old cars. And all of them are broken right now. All 3.
Well, there's my 3 old ones. Not showing my 70 D100 that's out on the street.
Grand National.
Yep, that's 87 Grand National. That is currently needs transmission fluid because it leaks all over the place and won't go into gear.
Is that
and then the one on the left is a GTX. Yeah, 68. And that
You've
car,
had that one for a minute, right?
I've had that one since late 90s.
Yeah.
And that one has been redone by Chip's, got a Foose paint job on it and his wheels. And that one recently went through a 392 engine swap. I had an engine fire.
A modern 392?
Yeah, it's got a 392 crate. And I had an engine fire. And so I was like, what the hell am I going to do?
Not on the new engine, the old
No, the old one.
Okay, yeah.
The old non-numbers matching 440 with a 6-barrel on it, lit on fire, gas leak.
Sucks.
And I was like, this is going to be a lot of work to try to fix this, so why don't I modernize it? I called Graveyard Cars, and I called Mopar. Mopar donated the engine to me. Graveyard Cars did the swap.
Mike Musto must learn your methods.
Well, here's the plan. I mean, it wasn't just for free. The car,
obviously,
it was supposed to be this year, but it's not ready. Next year at Barrett Jackson, Scottsdale, 2020, it's going across the auction block for charity.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, you know,
you need some room? You're ready to part with it? Or?
I'm ready for something else. I want to get.
They're like, we'll give you this engine and you get 1 year with the car. We're taking it back.
Yeah, right. The agreement was that it was going to go across the block, which it will eventually when it's ready. There's a good shot of it by Hot Rod Magazine.
It's a good looking car.
It's beautiful.
That's going to be fun to give, and you're going to get to go up and do the thing on the block. That'll be really fun.
Exactly. But I've fallen in love with the 71 Roadrunner. And I want to get a Pro Touring 71 Roadrunner.
Well, you could probably just spend that money back at Barrett Jackson.
Just go straight across.
Yeah. Are you commentating this year?
Yes.
Barrett's, it's a fun show to commentate, man.
Dude, and Scottsdale is the granddaddy. We're doing 32 hours of coverage over 6 days.
Are you roving or are you on stage?
I rove.
All right.
I'll go up on stage sometimes to spell Magnante, which is kind of like, a 5'2" dude trying to step in for Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Because Magnante is like the savant.
The kingest of nerds.
He knows so much about cars. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So I'll get up there.
With him once. I was like, "You're Steve Magnante." Fuck, do you know that? I literally had like a Michael Jordan moment with Steve Magnante in an elevator. He was like, "You're a nerd too." Okay, cool.
he's unbelievable, and he's talking about humble guys like we were talking about Foose too. Like Magnante's totally humble too. He's such a great guy and loves to talk about cars. I'll get up on the block when there's Porsches up there and when there's Mopars up there. You know, stuff that I know about.
Yeah.
When, you know.
He's up there the whole time.
He's up there the whole time and knows. He's got this little
they only
notepad.
made 42 of this color on a Tuesday in 1967. And this one has this sticker right here. And these all left with these 3 chalk marks on the radiator hose.
It's insane.
The fuck?
Yeah.
And he's right about everything because anytime we're not right, just check Twitter.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
People call my shit out so fast, man. And I love it. I love being corrected and I cop to it. But what I've learned being at Barrett Jackson is unless you're absolutely sure about something, do not say it.
Dude,
Because if you're guessing about something, there are a lot of people out there listening who are going to call you immediately.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when you hear a little pause on the TV and it just goes, nice color. You know, it's got seats in it, you know.
Yeah, that's my go-to is to start talking about like, you know, how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're always right about that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I do. The one thing I do wish about not just Barrett, but all the auction shows is I wish for the TV broadcast they did a little better job of like getting a boom mic up to the exhaust so you could hear the cars a little bit. It's like the one thing.
Most of them get pushed though.
Well, that's true.
They get driven on and pushed off. But
In Vegas, especially, the emissions get really bad in there because it's not
air conditioning. It's not the tent.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have running cars going through there every day. So we do get a little fumey in there. But you're right though. That is something that people want is to be able to really hear and feel and experience the cars. But they do get pushed across. They get kind of driven about almost to the ramp,
and then they inertia
and
them,
then the
white gloves
up.
come out.
Yep, exactly.
I took my fiance to Pebble once, and we went to RM auctions, and she became obsessed with the guys who have to steer the cars and then just stare straight ahead no matter what's going. She's like, that car just got bid up to $20 million. That guy didn't even turn his head. She's like, who is that guy? And we went in the back because I had media passes, and she started like interviewing these guys, and they're like, do you want to just come? And like they like invited her into this Bugatti to go up on stage for the next one. Apparently there's like no rules governing this sort of thing. She was all
They're
about
just
that
really
too.
concentrating on not scratching anything.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a hairy job.
But
the
that's
white
true
gloves,
about those
the whole
drivers. I mean, they do the same thing at Barrett Jackson. The dudes that get up in there, and then while the bidding's going on, they just kind of robot it.
stone face.
Yeah, because maybe because they don't want to influence the bidding one way or other.
Yeah, because if it was us up there, we'd be like,
bro, it has a cigarette lighter. What's your favorite kind of cars to see roll across the block? Just shit that you grew up with, or?
Well, I mean, the trend this year, and I've been doing research for Scottsdale, which is coming up starting on I think the coverage starts on the 14th, maybe something like that.
Week,
I go out there the 15th.
Isn't it Thursday to Sunday?
Well, no, we actually start on Tuesday. So I go out the 13th, which is Sunday, so it's the 15th.
So it's the 15th to the 20th then.
Correct,
okay.
So the trend this year, I'm really seeing a lot of customs. And they've been there all along, but
specifically when you use the word custom, do you mean like 50s or as opposed to
it's
pro
more
touring?
it's pro touring.
Okay,
modified.
They're calling them a custom. They're not, I think pro touring is just one more step up in performance.
Yeah.
But like when I say custom, I'm talking engine swap and I'm talking, modernized interior and wheels and suspension and exhaust.
Yeah.
Not quite the level of a pro touring car, but the customs.
The mild builds.
Yeah, exactly.
Usable.
The drivers.
Daily drivers. Yeah, exactly.
I always think that's a good place to buy one of those.
I think so too, because
someone could drop 150 and it's yours for 65 or something like that.
I've seen that. I've seen people cry there.
Yeah.
I've seen people cry.
Yeah. They still do no reserve? It's all no reserve, right?
Well, not at Scottsdale on Saturday. There are reserve cars, but the majority, the large majority of the cars are no reserve.
Yeah.
And you're right, man. I talk to people in the staging lanes who own the cars, and they're all psyched up, and they're wiping them down. And then I'm like, how much do you expect to get for this car? And they're like X amount of dollars. And I see them come off the block, and they're just like shaking their head. And I'm like,
poor bastard.
Sorry, dude.
Over all the years I've been there, I've seen guys buy their own cars back. I've seen guys. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, they just got to pay the.
I like going in the early, like on the first day or the like late Sunday when there's some weird stuff that nobody's left. Either they don't have any money left. You get some really
those are the best deals.
Yeah.
Early on the first day. And late. The problem with late on the last day is it turns into a parade of 500 SLs. There's literally been times where at like Connecticut or Florida where 15
Really?
2003 500 SLs will go across the stage, and we're all looking at each other like, what are we supposed to say about the
so
12th
funny.
one in
Yeah.
a row that goes across the
beige.
stage?
I was at Scottsdale last year. There was a bunch of 500 SLs, like
Yeah.
a bunch.
Yeah, they're like page fillers. I don't know what
It's
they.
inevitable. It always happens, and they always put them back to back, and it's
That's
like
so silly. It's
but
like a wholesale auction back
They all
then.
sell, but yeah, it is. It's like it's like a used car lot going
That's
across
very funny.
the block.
You got to fill it up, I guess.
But our motto is, we know what every single car is worth, and that's what someone will pay for it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the truth across the industry. I mean, you're talking about guys getting great deals, and it happens all the time where someone's got 100,000 into this build, and it goes across and it goes for half that.
But but it goes the other way too. I went to Barrett last year with Larry Webster, Larry of Haggerty, and he was dead set on buying a '69 Mustang. He was looking at 3 different cars, and he was like, "I'm ready to go in for, I don't think it was up to 30 grand or something on mild driver builds, aftermarket wheels, non-numbers matching, whatever." And all 3 of the cars went like in the 50s, and he was just like, "What the fuck? I don't even know what this is about." You know what I mean? But
it's amazing the waves that he goes through. Which auction was that he went to?
That was at Russo, and I think Russo is real fun because it's like a rodeo. Yeah, it's like we literally went from Gooding, which is coming up on the lot 342, is the Ferrari 250 GTO. It was raced by Phil Hill and Jim Clark, and then you walk around up the street, and it's like 300 and a 400 and a 500, and it's like people fucking chugging beers on stage. It's hilarious, the variety.
Drew Alcazar makes sure that if you've got a bitter badge, you've got a beer in your hand or some sort of alcohol, because you're a superstar.
Well, there's a reason they include the open bar with the bitter badges.
Right, with the bitter pass.
Get them lubed up.
I wish I could do that on Craigslist.
I learned that if you
hey, take a beer, come on, check the car out.
If you get a bitters pass, they treat you way better than if you have a media pass.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's always worth it to get the bitters pass.
You're a customer.
So Barrett's fun because they have the sideshow.
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to the cars, like they have the flea market to end flea markets.
And not only that, but the ride and drive.
Yeah.
Just especially in Scottsdale, the way it's laid out. Have you been to the Barrett Jackson in Scottsdale?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
To Westworld. Yeah. Dude, I went to Barrett Jackson thinking I might buy a car. I got a bidders pass. I'm like, I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah.
I bought bamboo-filled pillows at the sideshow. Straight up.
There's hot tubs, there's boats, there's leather
fan boats.
goods.
Have you seen the jet-powered fan boats?
Yep.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like vintage Chris Crafts and like
It's
boots
insane.
and cowboy pants.
It's an adventure every time I walk through there. At Westworld, I think they have the world's largest tent.
Yeah.
And the farthest reach of the tent is more than a mile away from the block.
Yeah.
So we always make sure to do
insane.
a remote.
You go.
bit
Well, they
from
have.
out there.
They store cars at the end. There's
Yeah,
cars
no,
waiting
it's cars to the end of the tent and then beyond the tent outside.
It's so
it's
crazy.
amazing.
Do you know some of the big heavy hitter highlights that are coming to this auction?
Yeah, I think
Zach
the
pulled
one
up a
that's
couple.
on
Oh,
the
there you
cover.
go. That Caprice wagon. It's looking good.
The one that's on the cover of the catalog is VIN number 1 of the new GT500 that's coming out.
Oh, that's going to be a fun
That's
one.
cool.
That's a
And
charity one,
Yeah,
right?
that's a charity car. Then the winning bidder gets to select, color and
Yeah. You're getting
trim
an
packages and
allocation
stuff.
fundamentally.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool because then you actually get to deduct everything over the MSRP of the car.
Exactly.
Which is lovely.
Exactly.
It's,
You know,
it's nice when Ford gets down on that. Who's that guy? Who's the guy who fucking win? Ron Pratt. Ron Pratt's going to win
Pratt
that.
sold his entire collection.
Did he?
And he started. Yeah, he sold his entire collection. I think
Couple years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's starting over?
Well, I think I heard that he was starting to collect airplanes.
Airplanes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard as well. Yeah. He had like 2 days dedicated to his cars.
Yeah.
Like the whole first weekend
whole
was just the
weekend.
Ron Pratt collection.
Yeah. He had Carroll Shelby's personal Cobra that sold for $5 million.
Oh yeah, the blue one,
the blue one.
the blue one.
Plus
right?
his memorabilia.
And all his memorabilia as
Yeah.
well. The thing that was most interesting about Carroll Shelby's personal Cobra was that it was an automatic.
Yeah.
I thought that was so strange.
The prototype wasn't, not the CSX 001.
Correct.
But
that was
the
but
one
I'm
he
talking about
actually liked
his
to drove.
personal- yeah.
Well, he was fucking old.
He was, and I guess it was just easy.
Really old.
That's
He was
great. You should
touring.
just drop that in Jalopnik and go, by the way, the man that built the craziest cars daily in automatic.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Enjoy.
He also, my friend Tony, you know Tony Rackley?
No.
We call him Ferrari Tony. He's like a transporter guy. He's a logistics guy.
Oh, of course I do know
you
Tony
don't
Ferrari.
English
Yeah, yeah.
Tony?
Mhm. Yeah.
He's got Carol's or Clio's. It's a Ram with a Viper motor in it before Dodge ever built one. It's the generation before.
Yeah.
It's a 94 Ram with a Viper motor in it that was like his personal
So is that when it was still a Dodge Ram?
Yeah. No, we're talking
Yeah.
a long time
Back
ago.
when they did the SS package of the stripes and everything, that body style,
And he has like Cleo Shelby's GLHS and her Shelby Lancer. He has a Shelby
Those are cool
Lancer.
cars.
Yeah, the
they're
Shelby
weird.
Lancers, they had one of those at the Peterson for a while. I think they might still be in the.
I think all
there, yeah.
museums should have like hopped
Absolutely.
up Econo.
We saw
What's
the one
great,
with the
they-
Hemi swap at Peters at Radwood.
Oh, that was a Shelby
That was a
Daytona.
Shelby Daytona.
Dude, a guy at Radwood had a mint Shelby Daytona with a 6.1 Hemi swap that when you closed the hood, you could not tell.
Nice.
Looked
It was
completely stock.
badass.
It was
Nice.
awesome. I know the guy too. He's a beast. He looks like chubby Axl Rose. There it is, right there, Zach. You're hovering on the picture of it. Right, the red one.
Red.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
See it poking out?
Yes.
so delightfully fresh. Period. The correct wheels, everything. It's
fantastic.
And a six. Was it a 6.1
And
or
just a
6.4?
monster under
it's a
there.
Heavy. Yeah, that's
Probably a
right.
6.1.
It's one of those
I think
cars
it was a
you
6.1.
walk up to it from the back, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I can't believe, and then you walk to the front, you're like, oh my God, it just got better.
Full stock interior, everything.
Yeah, it was great.
Are you
love
into
it.
the 80s and 90s much?
You know, Porsches. Yeah,
That's it, huh?
I'm getting more into them as I see kind of more of them, and the older I get, that becomes more nostalgic for me. That era of cars. But my dad always had Porsches, which is why I got my 911. So that was kind of the car of the '80s that I was around. There's those weird cars too that I like. Like, remember the Merkur?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
Scorpio
yeah.
XR4 Ti.
Yeah.
Those
They
buddy of mine
they
in
are
high
not
school had
good,
one of
man.
they're
They're not
no,
good
they're
cars.
horrible, but they're so unusual looking.
They look
that,
like it's got to be like almost like a Sierra Cosworth. No, it isn't.
And then of course my Grand
Sorta.
National. That was my
Yeah.
bucket list car in high school. Was the
Yeah.
'87 Grand National. So I bought that at Barrett Jackson a year and a half ago. in
While
the
you were
Northeast.
working,
right before we went on the air.
are you allowed to bid on the air? You
Yeah,
are,
well,
right?
as
If you wanted
long as
to.
I lay out, I can bid on the
Yeah,
air. But
yeah.
this is literally right before we're like rehearsing. 10 minutes from going live on the air, and I was looking at this 928 that came across, and it kind of got out of my price range, and so I'm walking away, and one of my producers goes, well, you've always wanted a Grand National, man. There's a Grand National right behind it. So I turn around. The bidding stalls at $12,000.
Oh, God.
So I'm like,
It's a good time to get in the game.
12.5.
Yeah.
Just thinking that I'm going to get past, 13, whatever.
You're getting mic'd up.
Sold. Yeah, I was getting mic'd up, and I bought a Grand National.
For
yeah.
12.5?
For 12.5, yeah.
Oh, you got a deal.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Back
it
when you
was.
could get
I think
deals.
that's what
I'd
it
buy a
was.
Grand National for $12,000
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
That's like when we were.
How's it drive?
It drives really good,
Does
actually.
it?
Yeah, it drives really well. I might be wrong. Maybe I paid 17. I can't remember. I got to check.
Still a good deal.
It's
still a good
yeah,
deal.
exactly.
You know those guys at Detroit Speed?
Yes.
They make a suspension kit for a Grand National that makes it handle really, really good.
Yeah.
I drove their Monte Carlo SS, their 84 or whatever it was. I was shocked.
Kyle, there's another guy who's, man, down to earth as can be for
Kyle
how much
Tucker?
talent. Yeah,
Oh, Kyle
is
Tucker rules.
the man, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and they've won the SEMA build-off, I think, twice or 3 times now.
Those guys are on point. And they also built the Ken's Huna truck, which is rowdy. And I drove a bunch of their shit, and it was bonkers. Their C3 Corvette with the American flag on it is bananas.
Did you see the 69 Charger they built for that guy in the Middle
for
East?
Mo, I drove it.
Oh my God,
Did
is
you-
that
did you-
beautiful? No, I just
that
saw
car
it in
was-
Florida.
You know how much that car cost?
No,
Car was over $1 million.
it looks like it.
This car has a supercharged 6.4 Hemi in it and an 8-speed paddle shift in a fucking 69.
It's unbelievable
It is
how cool that car is.
crazy.
And all the little Detroit Speed custom touches that are on that car,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
I heard off the record that the dashboard in that car was almost 6 figures.
Wow.
Just the dash
I
and
believe
the
it.
gauge
It's
cluster.
all, it was all digital, wasn't it?
So yeah, it was so crazy. That car was
And
really
the stance,
really rowdy,
it's just gorgeous.
But it
was for
all
it was
the
for
money.
a Middle Eastern guy who was like an ambassador, and he was in Washington, so that car was going to D.C. if I remember correctly.
I don't know what the guy did,
Jesus.
but they were building that and a Chevelle for him. That between the two of them, it was like $2 million. But that car has anything you could imagine going into a build is in that car. I mean, it's when
Those
you
guys-
when you guys were doing cars and overhauling, how thoroughly mechanically did they go through the cars? Like total, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was all.
Look at the fucking
It was.
motor.
It's just that thing is so cool, and all the hardware,
The bracing,
the
awesome.
braces and the hinges. I mean, it's just
It's
insane.
obviously a full chassis,
For sure.
done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
unibody car,
It's got
actually.
Well, it's a
but
unibody
all
car, but it's got that,
the
change
whole
out the
thing.
K member and do all that stuff. I'm sure
They
it's
seem
all brand
amazing
new.
because they seem to know chassis tuning really well, suspension, and then they also can do the metal work. Like on Ken's Huna truck, they like built from aluminum the headlights around, English wheel style, which is amazing.
they did that on this thing too. Yeah, it was crazy.
Those guys, Roadster Shop, Speed Core, those guys they're doing. I mean, the Charger that Speed Core did at SEMA. Did you see that one?
Is
That's
that
in
the
the
one
McGuire's booth
with the boat engine in it? Is that that one?
I don't think so. It was
They built-
all carbon fiber.
Oh yeah. I think that had a boat engine in it.
Really?
I think it had a marine engine in it. Speedcore is SPEEDKORE.
KORE. Yeah, it's their.
I think
it
we're
was a
gonna
70 Charger, and it was in the McGuire's booth. It was.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
What's the main dude's name? I think he's going to be on our show in a couple of weeks. Actually,
Is he? Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I spent some time with him there at the show. That's a
Fucking
gorgeous
rowdy.
car too, man. But this is where the industry is going. It's getting away from pure resto. I mean, pure resto is great, but you're dealing with technology that's now 50 years old. And to have the styling of these old cars with the new technology is really, it's
go to
been
the
headed in
motor.
that direction for a long time, for maybe like 10 years, but it's really being perfected now.
Mercury
it's
Racing.
a Mercury Marine engine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like an 8-liter, 1,000 horsepower Mercury Marine motor.
Only
yeah,
1,000?
At least I was being conservative. I think it could easily be more.
Do you think the trends ebb and flow though? Like in early 2000s, it was numbers matching was super popular, going for high dollar. Then we had the pro touring thing. Optima, the cars are killing it. Hotchkiss, Ride Tech, all those things. They're still amazing, but it seems like the prices have dipped a little bit, and people went back to modern. And now are they flowing back to stuff like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of finding that happy medium, like what I was talking about when you originally asked that question. What's being seen at the show? It's not quite the level of a pro touring, like crazy custom, like this Speedcore car. It's kind of one level below that, I think, is where it's finding its sweet spot, where it can be a daily driver, but it's not a $250,000
It's not
car.
a race car anymore.
Right,
it's
and
like
it's not
a really nicely done daily that has modern tech in it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I don't know. It seems to change every year what the kind of the
Because you
themes
see
are.
it not just in the muscle cars too, because you've been seeing it at SEMA with the vintage Mercedes with the modern Mercedes drivetrains and all the different swaps. It's not just the muscle cars. I think the whole industry is doing that because these guys want that. I want the vintage
style.
want but I want to be able to have it
want it to
start
work.
every
Right.
time I go to get in.
I mean,
it.
look at the car that Kindig built, the
Yeah.
Gullwing with the LS in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's such a gorgeous
Wasn't
build
that
in
built
person
on a
too.
SLK chassis?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
It has
they
like
just kind of took the
it was
shell
sort of weird
because the Gullwing itself was so decrepit.
Yeah.
They just put that down on that other chassis. But how about the Mustang with the Ferrari engine in it?
yeah.
That was pretty
that was
amazing,
pretty
too.
cool. Yeah.
There's all these kind of Easter egg
I think that was
surprises
it a V12?
in these cars.
I think it was a V12,
It was,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I saw that when I went to Formula Drift at the end of last year. I saw that $599 drift car with the 2 superchargers on it. I was like, I kind of get this now.
Yeah.
And the guy,
I like that guy.
The guy driving it was so Italian.
Super Italian. His car caught on fire at Long
Yeah, it
Beach.
was the most Italian thing that could happen.
And then they got it fixed. So like a week later, people chipped in and helped, and they went to the next event. But yeah.
Rowdy. What else are some heavy hitters that are happening at Barrett this year other than GT 500 number 1?
Well, I mean,
Zach's got a
as a
6x pulled
Mopar
up
guy,
for a
there's a Daytona going across, and only
Okay.
500 and some of those were built, so rare car for sure. There's a lot of cool Hemi race cars going.
Okay.
There's so much.
The volume
it's hard
is
to concentrate
crazy.
on one thing. It's
Yeah.
absolute sensory overload
What's
at Barrett Jackson.
what's the number of cars?
I want to
do they
say
say?
it's
Is that the
there's
Daytona
the
there?
Daytona
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
nice.
Yeah,
That's not my favorite color combo.
yeah.
Is that orange?
It
Orange
looks like
and
that
white.
Orange and white.
vitamin C.
At least it doesn't have the vinyl roof.
Right.
It could be
Yeah.
worse.
And it's got the 440 in there. It looks like.
Which
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
it looks like a 4-cylinder with how much space is in the engine bay though.
Right.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
At least it's a 4-speed car. That's good.
Stuff that giant Hemi in there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, I'd be on the bus every day, and there was one of those. I think it might have been a Superbird instead of a Daytona, but it was parked in the driveway, kind of haphazardly covered with a tarp.
yeah.
And it was just, I was totally focused on it the whole time we were driving by it every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? You know,
Yeah.
I really didn't quite know what it was at the time, and then I found out, how rare it was.
A lot of fucking fabric in a car cover for that thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's the biggest car cover ever.
Truck cover.
Yeah.
But that was my earliest memory of kind of like falling in love with muscle cars, was seeing that Superbird in that driveway every day coming home from school.
They have the right attitude. They do. I like the Pro Touring stuff because I have confidence in the handling and the brakes.
Yeah. Right.
I can't. Every time I drive something,
the exact opposite
old.
of these cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
With bias ply tires and drum brakes.
Drum brakes.
Yeah.
I thought all old cars were like that. And then I started driving like old Porsches, and I was like, hang on a minute. These turn and stop.
Right. You're talking about 1,000 pounds less.
Yeah, and my friend has a Gullwing, an original Gullwing. I drove that. I was like, this turns and stops. This is from the 50s. Like,
the
what
Germans,
the fuck?
The Germans were way
They
ahead of
gave
the
a
curve.
shit about things like that.
Well, they entered races that had more turns in them. You know,
Well,
Mille Miglia was like a big thing.
You go to Woodward
It's true,
Avenue, and all American cars from 1950 to 1990 make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They make a lot of sense at Woodward. Bumpy fucking road,
Right.
dead straight.
I've actually drag raced on Woodward Boulevard. That's
Like
one
a
of
Bosch.
one of my greatest memories in my automotive career was at Roadkill Nights a few years ago. Dodge actually let us jump into Hellcats and drag race on Woodward
That's
Boulevard.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard had a little whoops there, didn't he?
Last year he did. He put a Hellcat up into the wall. Yeah, which Dodge was very happy about because it instantly went viral.
Yeah.
And it was I mean it was worth it. I think it's actually
Turns out Miller Lite and drag racing don't exactly go well together, huh?
Yeah. And he was going up against Leah Pritchard too in that race. So I don't know. I think he was trying to do an eighth of a mile burnout and just got a little squirrely
That sounds
on him.
very Richardy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wheel speeds at 110.
Dream Cruise is a fucking riot, though. I love because sometimes you'll see people driving stuff where the person doesn't match the car. Like last year, I was there and I saw an old, like a couple, like old white people, like in their 70s, literally bouncing an Impala on hydraulics.
yeah.
And I was like, "Who are you?
16 switches.
Can we have a chat, please? Like, what the fuck? How did you end up in that car?
It's hilarious.
It was amazing."
Just imagine how many 63 Impalas were destroyed by putting that suspension in there,
Dude,
Right.
Vinny and his Craigslisting recently, we could have bought a town car, like a 90 town car on hydraulics for $2,000. Like, and
That's worth it just to have it for a week.
It's worth it for a goof.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They're out there.
Bradwood 2019.
We should, you should keep an eye on keyword hydraulics.
Yes.
For next year.
I'm gonna get you in a car with full 8 switches
I
just
would
to
love
play
to.
with.
I would.
I'm gonna get.
absolutely
That's
love
my
to.
goal
You ever
for the
driven a
end of
car
this
on
month.
hydraulics?
One of the it was a 63 Impala on Overhaulin had the big switch box.
Really?
in it. Yeah. Yeah.
I told him
it was
it's
kind of
fun.
hilarious. Yeah.
To borrow.
It's really fun.
Yeah, to borrow.
To borrow.
Well, I one time, in the parking lot next to the Hard Rock, I think it was during SEMA, there were a bunch of guys with lowriders up on top of the parking garage, and they were making their cars dance.
Yeah,
you know how
yeah.
they do that?
Oh,
They're not actually in it, and I'm watching. It's fascinating. It's going higher and higher
Yeah,
and higher.
the remotes.
Sure enough, it spins around and flops down on its hood. Yeah, I was like, well, that was bound to happen. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Do you recall ever building a car for someone on Overhauling where they didn't like the car afterwards? I know you typically started with cars that were pretty beat, but like, did anyone ever like just hate the color or just really not be happy about it?
No, I'd say 99% of the time, no. There was one that we did, a 2005 Mustang, and we basically just like put a little paint job on it, graphics kit, body kit, and souped up the engine a little bit, foose wheels, and then for some reason the guy he didn't like it, So I don't know. That was the only thing that comes to mind. But most of the time we kind of, like you said, like the cars are so bad, just having anything done to it is amazing. And then people love Foose so much he could do no wrong. But we're pretty tuned into what they would want because of the work that we did with the Insider.
Yeah.
So most of the time, 99% of the time they like
good.
it. Yeah.
How long did it take them to do the actual builds?
Well, it
Couple weeks?
was
They did
real
'em
deal.
fast,
No, we
right?
did them in 8 days. So if we took the car on a Monday, we would give it back the following Monday.
That's really impressive.
That was
like
incredible.
people aren't
Yeah.
sleeping to get that done.
There was we only missed in that format one time. That was when we did the 29 Model A, which was basically all brand new metal.
Yeah.
So we only missed it by like 12 hours.
Cutting out the VIN plate.
I mean, Chip
left.
literally built and shaped the hood by himself.
Really?
It was an incredible feat of metalwork that he finished in like 3 days.
Yeah. Is that it right there? That low boy?
That's the one, yeah.
Top left?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That looks fire.
Oh, I'm a fan.
And that
that looks great.
checkerboard
That
firewall.
checkerboard
Yeah.
firewall is
Really
hot,
bitchin'.
dude.
Really bitching.
I don't even like these cars at all, but that is sick looking.
Yeah.
I'm not into this style of car so much.
That's a great
That's one of the best
build.
ones. And something about it being a 4-seater really works.
That's rare.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
that
I've
was-
ever seen one of those. It's like a 4-seater like that. That
was
rules.
really-
3
and-
deuces. That thing's sweet.
Yeah, and I want to say it's an Aufhauser.
Is that an Offie motor? Wow, is that
so,
that
yeah.
motor looks awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
The
that was
checkerboard
a really
firewall is something I would
beautiful
steal
build.
if I ever build a car from scratch again. That checkerboard firewall rocks. It's a red and white
For
checkerboard.
audio people, it's red and white checker, and then the engine block's red. The exhaust manifolds are white. Polished valve covers with little red fins on it,
yeah.
and then 3
big
3
velocity
tube barrels are like
stacks.
gold, which
yeah,
are
with
cool.
the trumpets on there. Yeah, it's
And it
really
doesn't
badass.
have. It has like no engine covers on the side, so you're just looking in at that
Right.
checkerboard. That
Yeah.
rules. That's fun.
Yeah, that was a fun build. That was a fun car to steal too, because it wasn't in that bad
You
of
could
shape
pick it
when
up.
we grabbed
We
it.
could-
And
you
I
just started through the side.
And I did a full like greaser motif, like I greased my hair back. And
Is
rolled
that
up
it
the
in the
white
top there?
sleeves
The
and-
second from the right image? Is that it
No.
when you took it? Oh,
No,
okay.
no. It was way like just all primered out and beaten up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a great design.
Yeah. Wow. It's gorgeous. And the big red steelies on there too. Just beautiful look.
Do you have a personal favorite build that was done?
Yeah,
if you
well, I
can
mean,
recall?
Chip and I actually did an episode where we swapped roles.
Uh-huh.
He hosted the show and I was the lead designer.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So I was,
No pressure.
Talk about getting the keys to the kingdom. I was basically, just here's a 67 Coronet. Do whatever you want to it. So it's
Yeah.
like, of course, first thing, Hemi's going in it.
Yeah. Did you steal it from somebody too?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No offense, but how annoyed are you if you're that person? Like the one show that Foos didn't do it.
Who's this guy? I definitely had a lot of help. So it's that one in the top left there. So we did this really dope
looks good.
wraparound graphic.
I remember that
with the
episode, yeah.
silver.
Yeah.
We personalized the Super B. We put a little Angels helmet on him because the guy was a big Angels fan.
Yeah. I mean, you
And,
can't really go wrong with all black.
British
I mean,
No, it's British Racing
it's
green.
green, yeah, it's
black
green.
on
Sorry.
top
with the silver
colorblind guy.
stripes.
Yeah.
The silver stripes is
with a
nice.
silver stripe with that logo, and then Foos wheels, of course, and
that worked out.
Crate Hemi under the hood. So selfishly, that's my favorite build, and I actually painted those stripes with Foos, so I'm quite
That's
proud of
cool.
that. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So that
Coronets
one,
are fun. They're cool. You don't see them around very much.
no, yeah. I mean, I love the Coronets. I'm a total B-body guy within the Mopar world. So
You know what my
love
favorite
those.
thing is when they take a fucking wagon and convert it to like a GTO. I
Yeah.
love that shit with the
Yeah.
fucking safari windows on the top too.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah,
Those are my jam, dude.
like a Vista Cruiser.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Vista Cruiser with the GTO
Yeah.
nose on it and a big motor, like big slicks in the front.
Well, we
slicks
did
in the
that.
back,
We did
skinnies
that
in the
with
front.
El Camino. We put a Camaro front end on an El Camino. We called it the El Camaro.
I think I remember that
it was
one.
a
Actually, it looked pretty cool, didn't it?
I thought it looked cool. We got a little flack for it. We put the taillights of the Camaro in the lift gate too.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of looked like a little bit of a Camaro from the end too.
GTO
Yeah,
wagon.
That's badass.
Yes. Although
really
I actually
cool.
think it looks better when you put the GTO nose on the other wagon, like on the Chevy wagon, Chevy
Like a-
version of it.
Earlier one.
Yeah, it's got a
67.
different design treatment around the C pillar with the Chevy one. That looks like they just took the sedan and plopped a
Just
hatch
like
on.
cut it in half.
Yeah, kind of. That was fun. Oh man! So what's next on your car list for once you give away your?
Well, like I said,
GTX?
I mean, I would
More
really
Porsche?
like to get a. Well, no, I mean, I've got the Porsche I want. I love that thing so much.
Is
And
it a Targa?
It's a Targa,
Yeah.
yeah. So when the top's off, it feels like a convertible. Super easy to pop on and off. I mean, was there a better designed top than the Porsche Targa?
If we're
I mean,
talking about exclusively tops,
Yeah.
I could make an argument for the modern Corvette roof, which comes off very easily and goes in the trunk.
sure.
If you really want to go up the ante, we could talk about Koenigsegg
Yeah.
and their carbon fiber panels coming off
Of
and going in the
course,
trunk.
yeah. That's
That's kind of cool.
Or the straight up Miata grab, twist, pull, throw.
Oh, that was a good
the
one too.
Miata has a great top. Yeah, as far as soft tops go.
I marvel at the design every time I take the top off the Targa and fold it up and put it in the trunk. I mean, just the engineering of that top is just so amazing.
You're not going to put the Murcielago Roadster on that list?
Oh man, when the Aventador Roadster came out, and I was like, "Oh, look how easy this is!"
Yeah.
It's like, you ever set up a tent on it's a Murcielago Roadster. See, Zach, see if you can get the diagram of how.
If you know how to do it,
a
could
top.
easily take you 45 minutes.
Yeah, the Mercy Roadster tent cloth roof is one of the worst designs in the history of cars. Like you're better off just like turning the car into a hot tub if it rains.
Yeah.
Pretty
Well, one
much.
of the ugliest is the Viper convertible top.
Oh man,
Those
so
things
the
are
early
horrible
ones,
looking.
Yeah.
with the plastic windows too.
Yeah,
There's a guy who drives around Venice who's got a 92 Viper that's got 195,000 miles on it. It is the most beat Viper you've ever seen. I don't think it's ever had a top on it.
That guy needs his own TV show.
He should steal it.
Should be a detective.
Dude, you guys should steal it.
The new Rockford.
It's bad. No, putting a top on a Merce though is game over.
It's insane.
That's
but
all the parts.
I think the car I want next is that 71 Roadrunner. Yeah, I mean, that something speaks to me about that design. Love that long nose. I just love the radical change from the 70 Roadrunner, not only like the 68, 69 Roadrunner to the 70 Roadrunner and then to the 71 Roadrunner. There's three such distinct body styles. I love the changes.
The 71 is like a really unique shape. It doesn't look like any other. Is it shared with a Plymouth? No, it's shared with a Dodge. Excuse me. Is there
later they merged them into that?
But
one
at that
model.
time, there's no equivalent Dodge,
I think
right?
it was its own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane when you think about how back then, without the technology that we have now, they changed the cars almost yearly.
Yeah. Right.
And then now we're stuck with like the same car, and then for like 4 years, and then we're gonna we're gonna throw another bumper on it and run another 4 years out of it. And it's like back then, they literally, I mean.
They had to change everything.
How?
Yeah.
How?
Were they just throwing more money at it? Were they just like change the machine?
No, I mean by the time you started building the car, you were designing the one for the next year. Like I don't even know how they changed the tooling.
Yeah, if you go from
fast.
69 to 70 to 71, they're such
completely different.
Complete changes in the body. They're having to make those the presses like pretty much as soon as the last car is out.
Do you think that's regulatory driven? Because now there's more testing and more regulations.
Now, definitely, yeah. Because everything is, it's got to be crash proofed and emissions and everything like that.
And I think the arrogance of GM at the time was sort of like, we're gonna just make it, sell it. Like no one's ever gonna.
No, I mean
Japanese.
You're gonna buy some from.
They were all doing it.
You're gonna buy some shit box.
Chrysler's doing it. Chevy's doing it. Ford's doing it.
Every one of them.
All the major manufacturers were changing their designs super radically and regularly, and the buying public were just like, yeah, okay, that looks cool,
Yeah.
But it was so much more design driven back then. Now it's emissions and crash
fuel
safety,
economy,
and everything is everything kind of looks the same now.
Well, if you use CFD to say what is the most optimal shape to achieve a low coefficient of drag, you can end up with a bunch of jelly beans.
You're all going to look the same. Exactly.
There's just no way around it. And then I talked to John Hennessy with his new like F5 thing, and I was like, oh man, this thing, it looks pretty good. Like it would be easy to fuck something up. You make a new supercar, it's easy to fuck that up and make it look ugly. And he goes, man, we just made the computer, told it what it wanted to do, and this just spit this air out. And that was it. It was like
he basically did.
Yeah, he's like,
he basically did.
Build me something goes 300 miles an hour, and it's like this just came out of the computer. So like that's kind of why it looks a little like a LaFerrari and a little like a this, and that's the necessity of the
it's true. I mean that drag coefficient. If you're talking purely about that, there's only one that's going to be the best, the most efficient.
The best will be Flight of the Navigator ship. That's pretty much how everything has to look for
someday,
right? What the fuck else did I want to go? What happens when someone brings that's Russo and Steele, but like when someone brings like classic Ferraris and stuff to Barrett Jackson, like just way out of the endemic target audience.
I mean, they go across. It's rare. If it's rare that it happens. It's a mainly muscle car auction. There are some Porsches that go across. We've had some Carrera GTs go. We've had some 918s go. So there are supercars that go across, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Ferraris are probably the most rare cars that go across, like the high end Ferraris. Certainly not the super collectible ones, like the ones that go to
GTOs
Pebble.
and stuff.
No, nothing like
that's
that.
a Gooding and an RM sort of thing.
It's like, you know, it's
looks like there's
a Testarossa going.
There's a 328.
Yes,
but there's nothing super high end. I mean, you know, it'll be a reserve car, obviously, and probably won't sell because that's really not quite the audience for that type of a car.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird as an owner. I mean, unless the owner is selling a lot or has a particular attachment to Barrett Jackson specifically, I think it's when I see cars like that, I go, well, this is odd because I just don't think you're going to get as much money as you could get if you took it across the street.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you think it's people
weird.
that used to go to Barrett Jackson to buy classic cars, maybe switch to exotics, and then they're like, well, this is the store I know. You know, I don't know.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about this a lot. It's like as the collector ages, the cars that people want to collect also, you know, get younger, I guess. Like
it's what anyone wanted in high school, right?
Exactly. So like the trend the last couple of years has been like the
Geostorm.
You know, the not quite there yet, but you know, like the Trans Ams. You know, getting
like
more
Screaming
into
Chicken Trans
yeah,
Ams.
exactly. Yeah, you know the Super Duties and
I'm telling you, it's going to be the year of the IROC.
It's coming. It's definitely
Fox
coming.
bodies are way up.
Well, Dennis Collins just sold his entire collection of Fox bodies.
That was a Collins.
Last year.
I did not realize that was Dennis Collins. I went and I saw that collection, and there were a couple winners.
Yeah, no, for sure.
There was a couple real winners there.
I think what happened though, and he did sell them all, and he was happy with the prices he got. But I was a little surprised that they all went in a row.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because, you know, by the 15th one, it's like, you know,
you're
sensory
completely
overload. And the guys who are there to buy those cars have bought the ones they want, and, you know.
When Steve Mignont's out of things to say.
Yeah, that's a
you
good
have
barometer.
ordered your auction wrong.
That's a good barometer.
Well, I sold my Fox body. It was the second highest ever price for a Fox body paid at auction.
Nice.
$65,000.
Wow.
Earlier this year.
Wow.
I gave half the money to charity.
Congrats. Very noble.
A lot of cats will be helped.
Very
I gave it to an animal shelter.
Excellent. That's cool.
But yeah, no, Fox bodies are they're the guy, and the guy who bought my car has a warehouse full of Porsches.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was a super, super rich guy who's got a warehouse full of Porsches.
And just happened to want
he
a
thought
Fox
it was
body.
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And he was very excited about it. So,
nice.
you know, but I think 80s cars, you know, are having their moment right now.
Yeah, it's going to happen because that collector, you know, is getting older. It's like, you know, one just half a generation above where I am.
Yeah.
You know, my nostalgia cars are like late 80s. So the nostalgia car for the sweet spot collector right now is like late 70s to early 80s.
Yeah.
You know, right in there, which is why we're seeing so many Trans Ams go for those higher numbers now, because people want those cars because, like you said, it's the car that they wanted or the car they had in high school.
Yeah. That's why we should be buying our cars now and then waiting.
Yeah. But that's
why I
very
have an
difficult to
87 and
do.
88, yeah.
You know, I think that you're going to start to see, not just because I've seen it in some of my friends, that they rebought the cars they had in high school, but also like completed modifications. Like I had a friend who had an Astrovan in high school. He always wanted to LS swap it. He always wanted to do all these things with it, and he just never could get to it. It was custom then, but it wasn't quite the way he wanted it. Well, now that he's older, he's got the money. He just built it the way he always wanted to.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it doesn't always have to be collector cars, but like it could be.
Like, I can afford the thing I wanted.
Yeah, the thing you always wanted. So now he's got this, you know, Astrovan with an LS swap and all this crazy stuff done to it.
Astrovan.
It's crazy,
Amazing.
but that's what, you know, that was crossed off his list. He's like, this was
And
the high
that
school
goes
car I
back
had.
to what we were talking about. It's that, you know, that personal connection you have with a vehicle.
Yeah.
The guy who customized that Astrovan, every time he looks at it and drives it, has that good feeling of being back in high school. You know, now it's a sense of accomplishment for him that he's been able to do that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel driving a Countach when it works.
Literally exactly the same.
So do you want to hear about the oil?
I had the poster. I had the Countach poster.
We all did.
I had the white one with the fall leaves. That was the one. That was the one I
had the Alpine one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So I came back. There's no picture on Instagram, Zach. Sorry. I had a beautiful drive yesterday, 2 days ago, 50 miles to my friend's Marco's house and back, and the car is fucking running so nice. Vinny fixed something. A spark plug backed out of its threads, and it was missing, and Vinny figured it out, fixed it, and it was running great. Drove it 50 miles, brought it home, parked it overnight. The next morning, there's a giant puddle of oil underneath it, like enough that if you took this coffee cup,
you sent me
and just
the
poured it on
picture.
the floor,
Yeah.
there's so much oil on the floor, and I'm just like, fuck me. And so Vinny crawls around and sort of sees where it's coming from, and he's like, "You're not gonna like this." And he's like, "It's coming from the valve cover."
Oh no!
At the firewall, which is the front.
And the most difficult place.
Difficult place to get to, and so I called GTO Engineering. I pulled out my invoice because this car had a valve adjustment done, engine out, valve adjustment, including brand new valve cover gaskets. 324 kilometers ago. Not a long time.
Right.
And I go, "Bro, this is not good." And he's like, "Send the car back on Monday."
Oh.
So he's going to have to fucking take
Pull
the
it
valve.
again.
He's going to have to take the valve cover.
Did you have the other guy?
My other friend came and confirmed your suspicion.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was valve cover gasket.
Yeah,
He put a wrench on the on that cap thing. It didn't move. It's the valve cover gasket. Is
this like BMW math though, where you do 300 kilometers in a Countach and it's 200,000 in a Civic?
I don't want to
tell him the algorithm that you had.
My other friend who is a
This is
proper
great.
Lamborghini tech said, if this is installed right, this should not have happened. He said, I don't want to point too many fingers at anybody, but it seems this was a valve cover gasket that was not put on and sealed
it may have
correctly.
just seated,
Which
it may have
would
just seated
confirm my
poorly.
suspicion since the spark plug wasn't tightened down properly.
It's possible that a couple of things were not exactly done according to spec.
He started the car up and we could hear the miss, and then when we opened up the engine compartment, you could hear it arcing. And I looked over and I saw, and the cap or the plug had popped out about 2 inches. I was like, "Well, turn the car off," and I clicked it in. And as he went to start it again, I watched it slowly pop itself back up.
So the spark plug was missing.
Yeah.
No, the spark plug was
It was there. It
spark
just
plug
had
was-
backed out.
The
It had
spark plug
backed
was so
out.
loose that it was blowing by and it was blowing the wire back off of it.
Yeah.
So once we got going, I told him, I was like, "Okay, well, it's going to be one of two things. Either they didn't tighten it enough, or they over tightened it." I was like, and I don't want to have to
Stripped it.
tell you,
Yeah, right.
but if they stripped it, it's aluminum block.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sure they just didn't over tighten it.
Yeah. So
So
that's,
I didn't want to get into that. But
either way,
But it was
I will
fine.
not
And-
be-
And by the way, seating a head gasket sounds like it would just be like kind of easy to do. You line it up.
Valve
and you put
cover
it-
gasket,
Yeah,
not
sorry,
head
valve
gasket.
cover
Yeah,
gasket.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of the hardest things to do.
There's
is to
a
get
lot
it right.
of shit sitting on top of that
Yeah.
valve cover.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a sucky job for someone.
Yeah.
But guess what? I ain't fucking paying for it.
No.
Hell no.
No.
Not in 300 kilometers. I'm not
Exactly.
paying for that.
Yeah.
I'll give up the car for a few days, but I'm not paying for that.
But there's all kinds of tricks with the valve cover gaskets that all these like my dad was a mechanic for 30 years, so I was lucky enough that I get to learn all these little tricks over the years. And anytime he had to do a valve cover gasket, he had a really fine wire that he would take over the holes, and he would tighten and use this wire to hold the valve cover gaskets on to the valve cover, so that when he put it down, it was lined up properly, and then he would just
And they'd
back
pull
the wire out.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's good.
So that
idea.
you didn't, because you couldn't on a lot of the cars, you
Smart.
couldn't just use like glue. 'Cause
Yeah.
it would with the, especially with cork gaskets, it wasn't right.
Yeah. So there's this like sealant. I think it's called like 1211 or something like that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
1211.
Yeah.
It's like this silicone shit, but it appears that it was only used on the end plates and not the whole gasket. So
That's what they attempted to use on the Lamborghini.
Yeah,
It should have been used on
The
the
whole
whole
way around,
gasket, and it
yeah.
was only used at the end portions of it, and now oil is coming out the side. So yeah, so there's that, and then remember the rattle in the Mercedes? I have an
Yeah.
SL 500, which
Yeah.
you know a lot about. 01, I love
I've
it.
seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
Love it. There's a rattle from underneath the car. Sounds like a heat shield.
Not-
Dropped it at the shop. Not a heat shield.
not a heat shield.
That's a catalytic converter, my friend.
Oh, it's still not terrible.
That's gonna be
They're
expensive.
expensive.
Well,
That's gonna be
Not
expensive.
terrible, but
easy but
expensive.
expensive.
Let me ask you something. Should a catalytic converter go bad in 60,000 miles? That
Well, when
sounds.
was it?
Not
when was
on
it
a
replaced?
Mercedes.
It's an
it depends
01.
if was there impact. You could have hit on
think
something
so.
and it.
But they can also go bad, as I maybe have to learn, if you had if it was running too rich,
Yeah.
or if something else was wrong with it, then if it's dumping fuel into the exhaust, then it's going to overheat your catalytic converter, can
Yeah.
melt it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever happens, that's going to be expensive. And then a friend of mine, Bam, who I love very much, borrowed the car to go play golf and brought it back, and the parking brake was broken. which is frustrating enough.
That's going to be expensive.
But it seems when it was broken that it was broken on, meaning the shoe has been compressed for the last 1,000 miles.
Oh, no.
So I need to replace the complete parking brake system.
Assembly.
Aren't old cars fun?
Old cars are awesome, though.
So fun.
This is
You know
why
what's
they swap
crazy, though?
parts.
If I think about what I spent for 2 years leasing a Ford Focus RS, compared to what I have spent in 2 years fixing a Mercedes SL 500,
Yeah.
it's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like probably like a fifth of what I spent to drive a brand new
On the
Focus
Focus,
RS
yeah.
for 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's still cheaper.
Yeah.
So, but that's where all.
It's
and
just
then
it's the maintenance and the headache and the
It is. I don't have a
it's
car-
the
well,
watching the
there's
temp
there's a
gauge,
personality.
and listening to
Yeah.
rattles, but you got the personality.
Whenever I
of the
drive
car.
the
Yeah.
Countach, I grind my teeth. And it's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, just waiting. Just
Right.
What was it? There was an algorithm that you told me. You're like, so after the Countach is fixed, you got 100 miles before it breaks
Yeah,
again.
no, it's 10, 100,
10,
1,000.
and 100 and 1,000.
Yeah, you
So-
get it back, it breaks in 10 miles. They fix that, then you get 100 miles, it breaks again, and then you get 1,000 miles and it breaks again. After that, it should
Yes.
run good.
So this is his 100 mile. This is his 100 mile
You're
break.
within your 100 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
this is my
he's
100
good
mile.
after this. He's good
After
after
this, I should get 1,000 miles before something else breaks.
And before I did the engine swap on the GTX, I would split my time between watching the road and watching the temperature gauge.
Yep.
It's like, and then feathering the accelerator at the stoplight,
Yeah.
to make sure it doesn't conk out.
Yeah.
Dude, I drove a 65 Pontiac in high school, and it was just 2 years of listening, watching the oil pressure gauge, oil temp gauge, and then listening for like valve cover gaskets coming loose, exhaust headers, all the things you have to fix a lot.
Right.
Back when they had like the cardboard gaskets.
Play a game called What's
And so-
That Noise?
Right. So then when I sold that car and got a Jetta for college, I spent like 6 months having to get used to not hearing anything, and I would just sit there with the radio off and be like, what's that sound? What's that? Oh, that's a rock. Oh, that's just a rock,
Hey, it actually started.
Yeah, right? So,
Wow,
yeah.
windshield wipers are cool.
Wow.
And then Marco said my Porsche cams did not show up today, so my car won't be done this week, but it'll be done next
How
week.
badass
probably.
is TLG, by the way? That is
You know them?
I love that
They
place.
are
yeah.
the best. They are so legit, and he's putting together. Here, Zach, you can pull that over if you. He just sent me pictures of all my new parts and my engine block going back together. That's bearings. There's ARP head studs, clean rods with new ARP hardware. Yay!
Beautiful.
Yay, yay, and things go together properly. He sent me that to show that there was no tension in the oil shaft, oil pump drive shaft.
I don't know what that means.
It means that rod, that vertical rod on the left side, has no tension in it right now, which is good.
Okay.
He says the end result of this shit, because he's balancing all the rods and stuff, he said the end result is that this motor will be buttery smooth at all RPM.
And this is a 79?
No, it's an 87.
Oh, it's an 87.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a G.
So
it's a
it's a Carrera
3.2.
also.
Yeah, it's a 3.2 G50 car.
Gosh, so it's got the G50 nice.
Yeah, and Safari.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be
I
going.
thought it ran fine
You
smoking.
know who turned me on to TLG was Rod Emery.
Oh yeah, he's right
Yeah.
around the corner.
Yeah, who
there's my
just
car.
moved into my neighborhood, actually. Oh,
Rod
bitchin'. Love the
is
Safari lights.
don't say where Rod's shop is secret.
Yeah,
He was
the
on
shop
the show.
is.
The shop is secret. Yeah.
But his house-
work is
His house is
his
where,
house
yeah.
is
His
at
house is a free for
315.
all. Come on over, just look for the Porsches.
Rod's work is excellent.
Yeah, he's a master at what he does.
If I was
the
gonna buy a-
356, I first met him when we did the 356 on Overhaulin.
Oh, you did
He
one?
came in and he was like our guru. I mean, he is.
Wow,
he is the
someone's
man for
fucking beat
356s.
356 got redone by Rod Emery by surprise.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's a come up.
Yeah. We took the back window off of a 59 Beetle. And
Oh,
then
cool.
Chip
Is that the
integrated
oval?
that. Yeah.
That's the oval,
that
right?
oval
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the back. Yeah, there it is
There you
right
go.
there. That's
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, look cool, right?
Yeah.
And he did the little beehive taillights
That
on
looks
there.
awesome.
Oh, it's so cool, man.
See, this is interesting though, because Porsche people are real numbers matching freaks.
We
so
we got some flack for
Yeah.
that back window.
I imagine
I'm
some
more from the Beetle crowd. But we're like, hey, it was a salvage. It was a salvage. Yeah, we just had that back section.
I was saving up to buy that to put that on my Beetle, man.
and that car was in terrible shape when we picked it up too. So we definitely saved that one, and we nicknamed it the 356 OH.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Can I see the side pictures, Zach, so I can see the wheels there?
Yeah, they're kind of like
Are those
that V-dub
it's
style.
V-dub,
Yeah, the wide 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was a super cool build, and we did the banjo
he didn't
steering
get one
wheel.
of Emery's crazy motors, did he?
I can't remember. I think we may have rebuilt.
Okay,
that one. Because
he's got that motor where he takes. It's a 4-cylinder, but it's 2 cylinders of a 964 engine, or it's 2. Like he takes a 964 engine design, but builds it as a 4-cylinder. So it's like a little, I don't know, it's an 1800 or something that makes like 210 horsepower. Like it rips.
To support your point, this post on Pelican Parts is Chip Foose just destroyed it 3
There you go. There you go.
And when and there's a before picture. I mean, like, look, it looks like it was in the bottom of a lake for like a week.
Yeah. It's that didn't make it.
We actually told that woman that her car had been used in a drug smuggling operation, and that's why we stole it from her. That's why we had to confiscate it from her, and she was all freaked out.
Oh God!
Yeah, she thought she was going to get arrested.
I was just reading. Speaking of drug smuggling, I get DuPont Registry because of course I do, and in the back there's like the random category.
Yeah,
there's an Apache. Where's the magazine's here? There's a 1986 Apache speedboat listed, and it literally says literally says, from the cocaine cowboy era of offshore boats, boat was a fully liveried race boat on weekends and a functional work boat during the week.
Awesome. We know what kind of work that was.
There it is.
There it is.
Only
Second
used,
from the right.
Only used on the weekends by a little old lady to go back and forth to Cuba.
That's the actual boat. That's
badass.
Was a work boat during the week.
Work boat.
Fishing charters, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, I love when they put those on the sideways display trailers, the catamarans where they're tilted up.
They have to.
Badass. Yeah. Chris has a hard out at 7, so let's get to some of our questions.
Yeah.
He's got a fancy schmancy dinner.
I have an extremely fancy dinner. Great movie, by the way, Senna. I love that poster.
Oh, we had Asif, the director, on the show a while ago.
Oh, that's cool.
He won an Oscar later.
Man.
That movie rules.
I watched one on the plane about the history of Ferrari racing.
Oh,
have you seen that one?
Race to Eternity or something like that. It's like about all the drivers dying.
All the dudes dying, yeah, exactly. Like they lost like 6 of them in an 18-month period. It was crazy, yeah.
Have you seen One?
Yeah,
that's my other favorite.
That one's great
one.
too.
Yeah,
About
One
Formula
rules. Yeah, with Michael Fassbender narrating.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. David says your 3-car garage for $120,000. It's not much for a 3-car garage.
No.
Where do we go with there?
Vinny, you're shopping for $2,000 Mini Coopers. You could have change.
I could have change. I would spend the money on the garage itself.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All right, I got you. World's nicest Toyota Previa, $10,000.
Yeah.
There's my utility vehicle. That leaves me $110,000. I'd have a Porsche 997 GT3 high miles, $70,000.
Okay.
High miles. Because fuck it. Right? That's 80. Leave me $30,000 for a Mercedes, the nicest 124 convertible I could find. There's my convertible.
Nice.
Boom. Well-rounded.
There you go.
Okay.
Very nice.
I got you.
3 cars?
I'd go like a 76 Eldorado convertible. What would that cost me? Like $5,000.
$5,000.
Okay, so 5. So there's my so let's call it 10. So I got 110 left. And then let's go 70A Arcuda.
All right.
I could probably get that for 85. So okay, so those that leave me. So it's 85, 95, $35,000 left.
Daily.
And then I'd have to have my daily. So and then I'd get just like something like a 72 Demon that was kind of beat to shit.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right,
little Joe Dirt shit happening there.
Exactly.
That works. Adam says, Adam from the Pod Filter podcast. Does Chris remember working with Lucky Costa?
Of course. Lucky's a great buddy of mine. He's on Motor Trend right now. He does a show with Tony Angulo, Hot Rod Garage, I believe it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And Lucky's hilarious, man. Lucky was one of our like kind of gem finds as far as personality goes. He's basically on the show just to be a member of the A-Team. He's a great mechanic, and it turns out he's got this incredible personality. He's like totally sarcastic, caustic wit. He's in tight with the Roadkill guys now, David and Mike and Dulcich and
I know this guy's face.
You know Lucky.
I didn't know his name, but I know that guy's face.
Lucky's a badass, and he's I'm really happy for all the success that he's had had in the past few years coming off overhauling.
Good for Lucky. All right, thanks. D Dingbomb says, we know I like... Oh, no. 717X. Would I like to drive a semi-truck? Sure. I tried before once. It was harder than it looks.
It's definitely harder.
Yeah.
The trans on the semis are... It's like, is it a 7-speed, something like that?
No, they're like 20 speeds.
21 speeds, yeah.
Yes, I would like to try one, but anytime I've ever like really tried, they wanted me to jump through a bunch of hoops I didn't want to jump through, and I was sort of like, I think this is silly, but
we can get you on
think this
Roadmaster.
is very serious. Yes, there we go. D Dingbong says, I know you like the Chevy Volt. Is there much difference between the first and second gen? Yes, there is. The second gen is a better car. It's got more usable space in the back. It drives a little better. You get another 10 miles of battery range.
They got rid of the split seat in the back.
They got rid of the split seat in the back,
seats.
so it's a traditional. Yeah, it's a more traditional bench. They got rid of the. They don't have that ugly stripe under the windows anymore.
It's a better looking car.
It's a better looking car. But the follow up is, I'm seeing used Teslas for less than 50 G's. Would the difference be worth the money?
It's two different cars, though.
Yeah, I mean, the Volt's real virtue is that if you drive less than 50 miles a day, you never need to use gas, but then you could get in it and drive somewhere far away where you don't ever have to look for a charger. You can really use it as a gas car if you wanted to, whereas a Tesla, even with a decent size range and even with the expanding supercharger network, is an electric car only. So, like, does that give you range anxiety? If you go on road trips, maybe it does. Also, I have no idea what a high mileage Tesla looks like. Chris, have you ever been in a high mileage Tesla?
A high mileage one?
Yeah,
No.
I've only ever been in like very low mileage
Newer
cars,
ones, yeah.
so I cannot tell you what a high mileage. We should try and find one on Turo.
Teslas are so weird because you can't hear them coming.
Yeah.
And then, but if you've been in a Tesla and the driver, if you've driven one yourself and you hammer it off the line, the acceleration is unbelievable.
Yeah. I actually get a little nauseous if you go flat in like a 100D.
Yeah.
I can get a little uneasy about it.
It's incredible, the takeoff, the G's that you feel.
Yeah, they're super cool cars, and I think they're offering a pretty crazy extended warranty on used ones. But, like, I don't know what the state of a high-mileage Tesla is. So that's the real difference. A cheap used Tesla, I don't know. That's the wild card here. Good luck, sir. I'm a huge Volt evangelist, though. Like, they just announced the discontinuing of the Volt. Wait a couple months till there's some left over on lots. Then go get a brand new one.
I still think the ELR is the hidden gem. I still like
Cadillac ELRs for 20 grand.
Sedans are biting the dust. By the way, the Impala is going bye-bye. End of an era there. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
No more rear drive sedans from GM. Goodbye. Figure 5 says, I've been following... Thank you for the nice words. Girlfriend and I both love our modified Saab 9.5s. Good for you, sir. But with 2 little kids, we're looking at crossovers or SUVs. Maybe a Saab 9.4X.
Yeah.
I'm 6'5", and she's 5'2". All right. A crossover and SUV that is good for a very tall person and a very short person. It's like all of them. I mean,
what has the most range of seat adjustment?
What has the most Saab-like SUV?
Honestly,
the Cadillac.
I was gonna say, well, like either Cadillac or something like all the American SUVs have the adjustable pedals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's going to be something they're going to probably want out of that.
Yeah, something with memory seats.
Yeah.
The new Mazda, automotive journalist default, Mazda CX-5 with a turbo.
Right.
Honestly, that's a pretty Saab-like.
Great car.
Yeah,
the Acura makes a nice crossover
RDX.
too. Yeah.
RDX is
and it
good.
seems like it'd be a good size for a tall guy and a short person also.
Yeah. It's hard without a price requirement there, because I could give you one for 20 grand or I could give you one for 100 grand. Here's a recommendation: Lamborghini Urus.
Yeah, there you go.
Good consumer advice there. That's a good up from a 9.5.
The Bentayga, probably.
Bentayga, yeah. John Figg says, "What does Chip Foose smell like?"
You walk into a garage and someone's been in there welding and grinding for 6 hours.
Yeah,
that smell, that
metallic,
little bit of metallic burn smell. That's what Chip smells like.
Is there a Chip Foose cologne available?
That's what it smells like. Yes. Eau de Foose.
He smells like you're having a stroke.
I've never seen him right out of the garage. I've only ever seen him at like functions.
Man.
So.
It's hilarious because he'll go into the bathroom and just like fill his hands with water and run it through his hair, and he comes out looking like Elvis. He's like he's got Elvis hair. That's what I always joke about. Yeah.
Richie says, "What's your favorite Tom Morningstar story?" Tom, by the way, is our old cameraman who is a lunatic. My favorite Tom Morningstar story is when he got drunk at a Ford press launch and told a bunch of Ford executives that, quote, Lincoln and Mercury just need to die already. Which he wasn't invited back. He also stood up in the back of a Shelby GT500 at 155 miles an hour as a convertible at the banking of Talladega to get a shot.
Yeah.
Which was gangster.
Yeah.
He was crazy. Tom says, I have a Mark 7 GTI that I plan to IS-38 swap the turbo. That's a bigger turbo on a 2-liter, right?
It's a big
will
turbo,
it ruin
actually.
daily drivability? This will be my first turbo swap, so any advice helps.
Hey guys, never surfed before. Going to Waimea. You think I should learn to swim? That's crazy.
So look, if you put a bigger turbo on your car, it moves the power band up, reduces the torque down low. So that flat torque curve that you enjoy now in that wide power band will be gone.
Yeah.
Stop and go traffic will be terrible.
Yeah.
You're better off tuning your factory turbo.
Yeah, I would do everything else to max out that factory turbo, which offers people run fucking 350 horsepower. And you can run way more power than that car has front grip through the stock turbo.
Yes.
So I would say don't, but and yes, it will ruin your daily drivability. Well, not ruin, but it will definitely change it in a way that I would find negative.
High maintenance.
I mean, thank you. Peace Parts says you guys talk about a lot about off-road sports cars being awesome. We do. What about off-road NA Miatas? I'm building one, and I'm curious in your thoughts. Chris, off-road sports cars, you ever fuck with them? Safari builds?
I don't fuck with them or build with them, but I love to drive them.
Have you had to go in anything off-road sports car-y?
Not sports car-y. It's more truck. There's a place out in Vegas called Vor.
Oh yeah,
Vegas
off-road experience.
I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Really cool. They're like little
trophy trucks,
like
right?
snug tops that look like trophy trucks.
Yeah.
And then they take you out in the desert. You do the thing, and then they have a track with a bunch of whoops and jumps, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you properly jump?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you need to do that. I know the actually guys that run that. We should.
It's
we
a
should
blast.
Do that. We can make a call.
Yeah, let's go stay in Old Vegas and then do that. That sounds
not
good.
a
Good call. Yeah.
In my opinion, cars that have good on-road dynamics will also have good off-road dynamics. So a Miata, a 911, a 240. If it drives good on the street and you build it right, it'll probably drive good in the dirt too.
I guess it depends on what he's talking about too. If he's going to build a monster, something like that, or something more properly off-road like your Safari, because there's an interesting hashtag called Battle Cars that has cars like that. Like they're completely insane. They take these, I've seen SC300s that are jacked up and like your LS, your Lexus and stuff. So depends on what he's going to build it for.
Don't go too far and recognize that if you put big heavy wheels and tires on it, you still have no horsepower.
Right.
And so you may want to address that. Thank you, Michael, for your donation. 5 favorite one takes. Oh man. Let's see.
I'm guessing for you the triple McLaren. That seemed like a good
McLaren
one.
with 3 turbos on it. Hennessy Venom GT on the runway.
That was cool.
The oh my god. The problem is I've driven so many I literally couldn't tell you. No idea. Ford GT, the new one. That thing was bonkers. And Gunther Works 400R is one. And
what was that little Honda 600?
oh, dude, Chris, there's a guy who took, you know what a Honda N600 is? The first Honda sold here.
Oh yeah.
And he swapped a VFR 800 motorcycle engine into it.
Oh wow.
With a shaft drive and a diff in the back, and it's rear
It's
wheel
like the
drive.
size of a Mini almost.
Yeah, like a classic Mini.
Right.
So check this thing out. This thing has, it's like, I don't know, 125 horsepower or something, paddle shifters, sequential gearbox, and rear wheel drive.
That's
and
cool
it revs
looking.
to 13,000 RPM.
Damn, that's cool looking
That
too.
is bananas. Zach, you
And you
share
had
that
that
with
for
the
a
people.
day?
Mm-hmm. I drove it for 20 minutes, but it was the best 20 minutes of anything
That's
I've ever
fantastic.
driven. Only downside, no reverse. You have to Flintstones it in reverse. I keep telling the guy who does own it that he should put like a little electric motor on the rear axle
just to back it up a little bit.
Just enough to make it go like 20 feet to back out of a parking space. But it weighs like 900 pounds, so you can just push it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just foot it out the door.
So there you go. Thank you. Luke says, I took a fellow time trial guy out of my Viper ACR at Road Atlanta, and sitting in the pits, I said, "Who the F is that in a Trackhawk?" And it was me. I was lapping Road Atlanta in a Trackhawk. It was very fun. Let's see. Thank you, Michael. David says, love him. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Take your shirt off. No. Kyle says, thank you. A lot of compliments. Thank you. Let's see. Oh my God. Here's a good one. W. Ward says, I'm traveling from Virginia to Austin, Texas for Radwood, and I rented a DeLorean off of Turo. Advice to fully enjoy the experience.
Get a backup.
What are the miles from?
Get a down vest.
Anticipate the air conditioning not working. They're not driving it from Virginia to Austin.
I had to know the mileage.
1,300 miles. If you're driving at 1,300 miles in a Turo car.
No, they rented Austin, but I thought they did that.
I mean, you're going to be in February. That's good. You won't need the air conditioning because the air conditioning ruins a DeLorean. Advice to fully enjoy it. Be prepared for people to say dumb things to you. Quote their Back to the Future quotes.
88 miles an hour.
Pick your fucking line, bro. Pick your line. Doesn't matter.
Or embrace it.
100.
Or embrace it. Go buy yourself a fluffy vest and some Nikes.
The down vest, skateboard, the old Walkman.
Just embrace it.
Embrace it, or I think
121 gigawatts.
Yeah, but it's one of the few cars I've ever owned that women love.
Yeah, 1.21.
Yeah, women like it. So be prepared to talk to ladies. It's the only one because you're unassuming. You have an exotic car, but you have a sense of humor also.
And plan your meals accordingly. No drive-through.
Yep. Yeah, you can't fit anything through there.
That's
right. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Pizza.
Doing car things, and I'm sorry for not spending as much time as we normally do, but Chris has to go in 8 minutes. Doing car things says I have two loved cars: a GT350R, good choice, sir, and an 08 RS4, another good choice. Itching to build another car. I bought a shit Beetle. Ask Vinny. Do you know this guy?
This is Jeff.
And I'm going to send one of the other cars packing. I suspect you say keep the R, but I want to hear you. Yes, if your choice is a GT350R or an RS4, you keep the Shelby.
He broke the windshield in my Maserati with that 350R because the tires were so sticky. I drove behind him. And he threw a rock up and snapped the windshield.
When he says a shit Beetle, what does he mean?
He bought the world's ugliest 911, and I have to show you these pictures.
The blue one?
The blue one. I sent you the pictures.
This guy bought a fucked Porsche. Like, it was literally modified by the person with the worst taste.
I have to find this picture.
It's got
what did it start life as?
It's a 964, I think.
There's a vent under the front bumper that's actually it's a vent it's a drain from a shower drain.
He's trying to make it look like an RS.
He bought it from this guy in Vegas. It's an automatic. And he bought it from this guy in Vegas, and the guy, he was handicapped, and he loved this car, and he had it for years. And there were so many badges on the back that I don't even know how the cooling went in the air.
There's no air.
It was a nightmare. Oh,
is that
not as bad as that.
It's pretty close to
the
it.
Porsche trike.
It's extremely brutal and ugly and.
But that will be built into a full wide body. Oh, here.
Oh, you find it?
It had Cayenne wheels on it.
It's really bad.
Oh my God!
Wait, Chris, hold it up to that camera that's facing you. You can get close. There we go. It's just I don't think the picture shows off quite how bad it is, but it's really really ugly.
You can see the chrome air vents and the brakes there. Can you see that?
Oh, that's not.
It's just got a bunch of shit glued.
But it's got turbo calipers and brakes on it. There's a couple of things, and it's supposedly a built motor, a 4-liter motor.
Oh, if it's a 4-liter, the 4-liter on its own.
The guys at Singer are rolling over right now, going, "We need those cars."
But it's
Ralph Dickinson's texting me going, "Design inspiration."
No accidents, completely rust free. He bought it just for the chassis, but it happened to run.
Yeah,
and now he drives it around because he's not ready to build it yet. It's hilarious. So to get rid of his car, that RS4 is clean. It's really nice.
The wagon?
No, it's just
but a GT350R. There's no RS4 in the world that's as nice as a 350R.
Yeah, but what's gonna happen to his resale value on the 350R?
Nothing.
What's going to happen with the RS4?
The RS4 is
All
already
right, keep the 350,
Engine
Jeff.
out
Keep the
repairs?
350.
Keep the 350, Jeff.
And the semi-truck driver's back. My truck is a 13-speed, and I can drive it anytime. Yeah, man, if you want to do something in L.A., email me,
Sounds like he's hitting on you.
matt@thesmokingtire.com.
Some guy
Can we
did
go find a lot lizard? I'd like to find a lot lizard.
Some guy did a instructional video they put on Jalopnik about how to drive a semi truck, and you know how like some DIYs you go, I can skip this first part. Like I know, all right, take the valve cover off. You can't skip any of this. He's like, these 3 switches, these 7 gears now. But if you're going up a hill, you need these. And I had to watch the whole thing.
Like an
it's
airplane.
like 8 minutes.
Yeah. I'm down. I'll try it. Jordan says, Zach, thanks for getting the M2 in the canyons.
Nice.
He doesn't think the suspension's too stiff, but curious what you thought. Is it too stiff?
I mean, I only drove it on Angeles Forest, so the road is.
That road's smooth.
It's really smooth. You know, I can't tell you how it would be over cracks and transitions and city street stuff. It's probably stiff because it's a modern sports car.
Yeah,
and,
regular M2 stiff.
And the subframe is solid mounted to the body now, so it's going to be more stiff than the last one. Yeah. But it depends on where you live.
Is that all the things?
That's all the things.
Great.
Nice.
We will be on time. Chris, what do you want to plug before you get out of here? Barrett Jackson coverage?
Barrett Jackson, definitely. It's coming up Scottsdale. What did we say, the 15th through the 20th?
15th to 20th.
Definitely want to plug that. Check out the Motor Trend app for all sorts of great automotive coverage. You can download it onto your smartphone. You get everything that...
Is it going to be broadcast? Like, can I get it on Apple TV somehow?
I'm not
Is it through Amazon or
sure
something?
about that. The Motor Trend app, you mean? What are you talking about?
Can I get is the live coverage broadcast?
The
to the
live
Motor
coverage
Trend
is not only it's the network, the linear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what used to be Velocity is now Motor Trend,
Right,
so you can
right,
find
right.
it there. The only thing that's changed is the name. You can probably get some coverage through the app also after the fact. I should check on that, and then hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at ChrisJacobs70.
Chris Jacobs 70.
The year of my birth.
And any mistakes that he makes at Barrett Jackson,
Yeah,
make
let
sure
me
to
know.
Make sure you tweet
There's
it.
going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Hit me up.
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming down, Chris. I appreciate
it's
it.
my pleasure.
Thank you for,
Long overdue.
for joining us.
Long
Indeed,
overdue.
and we'll have to have you back again after the auction season is done.
Yeah, would love to.
I'd like to make it to Arizona, but
Come
I
on.
don't know if I can.
It's so
Check
much
out
fun.
while you're in Scottsdale. My friend Eli has a place called Auto Car Club. Have you seen that place?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. You
Yeah.
should swing by if you've got a moment. It's by the Scottsdale Airport. It's right
Okay.
near Westworld.
Cool.
I can introduce
I'll hit you up for a reminder, yeah.
All right, thank you, kids. We have for the live audience, we've got a show. Is tomorrow Friday? It is, isn't it?
It is.
Tomorrow we've got
All
Larry
day.
Chen, photographer from Speed Hunters,
Cool.
and Matt Crook of 1552 Wheels coming in at 3 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking about the poster we did for charity with the Countach up in the burnt out
Did you
canyon.
finish the picture?
He finished it. Yeah, he didn't send it to me yet. I asked him to send it. He was like, "Not yet." He's like, "We got to just premiere it on the show."
That's
so
gonna be good.
maybe if you can come back, Vin, for that,
Yeah,
you're
I can
more
try.
than welcome to. And that's all for now. Thank you, Chris Jacobs 70 on Instagram. And for us, the Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. You just need a microphone or two, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Have a good night, kids.
Peace out.
See you.